This first page is for the character and the setting. For the character and the setting, this is an introductory page. Before you can really start telling a story, before people can understand what's going on, they need to know who is it about and where is it happening. Which is why you start off with the character and the setting. On the left side, I have the rough draft. Now if you look, there's a little over half a page. That's about the length of the writing you should have for this page. Because it's a picture book, every page only needs a small amount of writing, okay, so we'll have room to also draw a picture. Now if you fill this whole thing up, that's fine. Your handwriting, okay, your printing, it's going to be larger than computer typing, and we can make that computer type different size. So it's alright if you fill it up, even if you go on to the next side a little bit, that's alright. But I put this many lines so you can kind of get a rough idea of how long I want this page to be. Now in this page, I want 2 paragraphs. I want you to have one paragraph that's about your character. To introduce a character, it's good to introduce your character doing something. If they're doing something, then it's not boring. Like, this is my character. My character's name is Sam. Sam is cool. You don't want that. You want more information on it. So as you're going to do this, you should take a look at your brainstorming, your planning page, and try to think, what sort of things do I want to tell about my character, and how can I tell them in an interesting way? So I'll start off with Roy, okay, doing something that he doesn't like. He's in the castle, right? So Roy stood by the sink, peeling potatoes. We know that's something he doesn't like. Grumbling under his breath, he complained about his old master. So if you remember, when I was doing my planning, I thought about some things that Roy didn't like. He doesn't like peeling potatoes. It's just one of the things that bothers him. Now what I'm also doing in here is I'm mentioning a secondary character. If you remember, one of my secondary characters was an old knight who's his mentor, who's a grouchy, mean, but very smart old man. Okay? So he's complaining about him. If you're thinking, well, he's grouchy and mean, it makes sense. Now if I look at this, my old knight, the mentor, he doesn't have a name. This could be a good spot to just quickly give him a name. Let's call him Sirs. Sirs. I'll put that down in my brainstorming, just in case I go and look back for his name. Sirs demanded perfection. And Roy was too tall and thin to do the workout perfect. So there I told a little bit about Roy, right? He's tall, he's thin. Tells a little bit about him. Okay? He brushed his long brown hair out of his eyes and continued peeling potatoes. Something I'm just going to point out that I did here is I try and describe Roy as much as possible in a very short amount of time without describing him. Okay? So if that's kind of interesting, what I do is I talk that he's tall and thin. But when I say that, I'm talking about how he was unable to do the workout. I mention his long brown hair, but I do it as an action, right? He's pushing it out of the way. So it doesn't sound like there's a boring first page that's just all talking about setting and character. It sounds like there's some action to it. So that's going to be my first paragraph. I've introduced Roy. We understood he has a mentor, an older person who demands perfection. And he's peeling potatoes, which he doesn't like. From there, I want my next paragraph to describe my setting. Now, if you have your brainstorming page with you, it's a good idea to take a look at that and think, what would he be looking at? So I want to describe a little bit more, so I'll have Roy look out the window. Remember, I want to show you the setting through his eyes. So Roy looked out the window above the sink at the large forest and the mountains in the distance. Okay. So I kind of gave you a little bit of the setting, right? Roy wished he were at the other side of the enormous tree castle so that he could get a glimpse of the ocean. Roy did not care to look at the mountains. For that was where the dragons lived. So what I've done here, I've described our setting, but again, it's through his eyes, right? He's thinking, oh, hey, look, I can see the forest, I can see the mountains in the distance. Oh, I wish I were on the other side of the castle, because there I could maybe see the ocean. So now we know there's the ocean on one side, mountains on the far side, and this castle, it's in a large forest in the middle. We know that there's dragons that live in the mountains, and Roy doesn't like the dragons. So that's why he doesn't like being on that side. So here what I've done, I've described the character, I've described the setting, but it's all while Roy, our main character, is peeling potatoes, doing something he doesn't like. We realize he's being punished. So you learn something about him, right? That's what you want to try and do on this first page.